What's happening, my fellow geeks and geekettes? Welcome to a brand new, and it's finally here, episode of Chris's Custom Collectables. And today we are going to be pimping out the Rubies Han Solo blaster. Now, I saw this thing in a costume shop in LA on Hollywood Boulevard. It was 15 bucks, and I had been eyeing this thing on eBay for quite some time. In the end, I think it was going to cost me like 45 to 50 Australian dollars to get the thing here. So I saw it, it was in the moment, I'm like, I'm going to get it, take it back home, I'm going to do a custom collectible on this guy. Now, like all custom collectibles, I only do them if the form is there, if it's got potential, and this thing does. I mean, look how beautiful it looks. It looks similar, if not up there with the screen use prop. Now, I know there are going to be a lot of hardcore Star Wars fans who think it looks like shit, and that's fine, but you know what? We're gonna do our best to make it look legit. Now, the process isn't overly complicated. There are some cosmetic things we do need to do to the body of the gun, which includes removing this little vent hole here to make it look like a proper barrel. We're then gonna go in and drill holes in this piece here. Originally, I believe this was a pommel or something off a World War II gun on a plane. If not, I'm sorry, please correct me in the comments section. I'm not fully aware of the whole history of the original prop. I do know it was like a Russian gun. There was a scope put on and then the booster pommel. Then we're gonna go in on the handle and just make a few scratches just so it's there ready for when we paint the wooden handle on. Now, once that's all done, we're gonna prime it with the Rust-Oleum Grey primer. Then once that's fully dried and cured, we're then gonna go over a nice matte black. I'm then going to go in and dry brush certain areas with a gunmetal grey from Model Masters, like you saw with the Nightmare Batman Colt M1911. Then I'm going to paint all this a metallic silver and then dull it down and weather it with a nice black wash. And then just general weathering all over, guys, and seriously, that's it. I've left the batteries in with the sound effects, so I kind of think that's cool. It's a simple process, yet an effective process, so with that, let's get to it. Alrighty, so this is just a tiny little hobby screwdriver that I'm just inserting in there, and this seriously popped out so easily. I thought I was gonna have to force the fucker out, but there we go, popped straight out. And I'm just drilling the holes in the vents of the booster pommel, and that was easy done. Just take your time, because you want to make it look neat and flush. Now I'm just sanding away the logos and the prints here. Some are flat, but some areas are raised. I just want to get rid of those trademark areas. And this is just attacking the handle with a Stanley knife. I just laid out some scratches from what I saw on the screen use prop. And now it's time for priming. Now you guys know how priming goes. Try and keep the can 30 centimeters away. Just nice, even sprays to get that nice, even coverage. And I left this for about half an hour on each side. So as we go, flip it over after about half an hour and make sure it is dry. Make sure it's not tacky because you don't want that adhering to the MDF board. And once the primer was fully cured, it's time to lay down some flat black. Now I let the flat black cure for about 2 hours because this takes a bit longer to dry than the primer itself. And now I'm just using the Creators FX brown from Testers for the handle. And then once that's dried after a few coats, I'm going to go back in with some lighter browns, as you'll see later in the video. Now it's time to paint that booster pommel. We're just using a standard silver from Model Masters. This stuff goes on so well. It has such an even coverage and I love it. It looks as though you've sprayed it on even though you've used a brush. Now I took that exact same silver paint from Model Masters and I'm going around and dry brushing the edges to make it look as if the black has come off on some areas and it's like scuffed metal. So I was following the details of the screen use prop. As you can see there, some areas are a lot more exposed than others. And this is the fun part. This is really when the piece starts to come to life and it adds a lot of realism, as you can see right there. Now I'm just going to get some Model Masters Gold and just go around some edges on the scope. From what I see on the screen use prop, there are some gold edges around the scope area. And now I'm just getting a flesh color and the same brown that we used for the handle and mixing them together. And I'm just going over the handle once again and very crudely and very lightly just dry brushing to try and get that wood grain effect going on. Even though it's sped up, I'm quickly whispering over, even in real time, just to really get that wood grain effect, as you can see right there. Now we're going to get some acrylic wash. Now this is for the booster pommel. This is just to weather it down and make it look old and used. Now this is 2 coats as well, but I made sure to let them dry between each set, and that was just hitting it with a hairdryer for a couple of minutes, guys. As you go, this stuff goes on beautifully. Make sure to do the inside of the pommel too. You don't want it, you want it looking realistic. And the final step is just to add a coat of clear gloss, and now it is time for the final reveal. So thanks very much for watching, guys. This was a severely easy build. If it wasn't for work, I would have had this done in a day, but it took me 3 days. Process is severely simple. This is something that you could use if you had a last minute idea for a convention, if you wanted to do a Han Solo cosplay. I would eventually like to revisit this piece and actually put a proper working scope in there, so I may consider that down the track. Hope you guys are well, hope you guys are happy, be silly, be merry, and until next time, geeks, please always remember, cosplayers do it best.